Hi everybody. So I just want to do a quick video to try and work out where we are at the moment, the day after Theresa May's kind of disastrous capitulation in Brussels yesterday. Now, the EU effectively gave us a lifeline. As you're probably aware, we were heading towards crashing out next Friday, and which would have been catastrophic for this country. But the EU have now given us the option to extend to the 12th of April. And at that point, we need to, in the hope that it will give us the Parliament the opportunity to coalesce around some kind of idea, whether it be Theresa May's withdrawal agreement or some other idea that MPs can coalesce around, or at the 12th of April, MPs will need to decide whether to extend for a long period after that, and we take part in the European Parliament elections, or whether we want to crash out. So, to recap on that, MPs now have 3 weeks to try and coalesce around some kind of idea, and at the 12th of April, that is the cut-off point where they either need to present an idea that they've coalesced around, we crash out, or we seek a long extension where we can basically rethink and regroup. But that does mean that we will need to participate in the upcoming European Parliament elections. So let's take a look at Theresa May's withdrawal agreement. At the moment, it is dead. I can't see how it could ever get through Parliament now, especially with what the European Union have given us. I think the only way Theresa May could have got her withdrawal agreement through was the way that she was trying, i.e. blackmailing Parliament to get it through, and the assumption that if they didn't get it through, then we would have crashed out next Friday. But because that red line, that is now gone, and we're not going to crash out next Friday, there's no incentive for anyone to accept her withdrawal agreement. And that's got to be a good thing, because it's an appalling agreement. It's horrendous, and whether you're a Leaver or whether you're a Remainer, it was awful, because we'd be ceding sovereignty to the European Union. We'd have no say. It was horrendous. So I'm pretty sure Theresa May's deal is dead. And I was going to move these daffodils out of the way before I did this video. But I wanted to keep them here because they're a visual metaphor of what I think Theresa May's deal is like. That is a visual representation of what Theresa May's withdrawal agreement is like, as far as I can see. So what does this mean? Well, it means that next week, it looks like Parliament are going to have a series of indicative votes, which is something that I predicted would happen. And I'm happy to say it looks like it is going to happen. And these are going to be designed to try and find some kind of way forward that a majority of members of Parliament can coalesce around. Whether that's Theresa May's deal would obviously be one of those things. Common Market 2, where we stay in the customs union or the single market. Whether we just have the customs union, whether we have Theresa May's deal plus the customs union, whether we have another referendum, whether we revoke Article 50 altogether. All of these things are possibly going to be in the mix. And so the idea is to try and work out from a series of votes which of these would members of Parliament would be able to create a majority around. Now, it wouldn't surprise me next week if none of them gained a majority. Because we've got 3 weeks up until April the 12th, I think you're going to see a return to the whole political manoeuvrings, etc. So I think next week it could be possible that that none of these ideas command a majority in Parliament. But as we edge closer to the 12th, I think then the idea of a Common Market 2 could get a majority, and possibly Theresa May's withdrawal agreement, but with a customs union. Now that's possible, but what I think is most likely is that MPs are going to get to the 12th of April. And they're not going to be able to find any of these things that will command a majority support in Parliament. And so what's going to happen is they're going to have to, at that point, decide whether to crash out with no deal or whether to go for a long extension. Now, although a long extension is politically really bad for both main parties, I suspect that is where we will end up. So I suspect that we will end up taking part in the European Parliament elections. And I think we will probably have an extension of 9 months, maybe longer, after April. I don't know. I can't be sure. This is my gut feeling. On the other hand, it wouldn't really surprise me if MPs managed to coalesce around the idea of Common Market 2, but with a ratification referendum. So you have the two things. So you get a majority support for Common Market 2, then as the process is put into play, trying to get that to go through Parliament, then there's an amendment to it that means that it then has to be put back to the people in a ratification referendum. This is all pure speculation. No, I think that might happen. Theresa May's withdrawal agreement with the customs union. I don't think so. I think there's too much damage now in the Conservative Party for Theresa May to get the support from the factions within that party for her withdrawal agreement. And I think that because it's her withdrawal agreement, it's tainted. So I think politically it's dying. Day after day after day, I think it's dying. Now, one thing I wanted to say actually was it kind of dawned on me, and I don't think many people, I haven't heard any political commentators talking about this, but it actually didn't surprise me that the European Union took this stance, because although it looked like we were going to be crashing out at the end of next week, the reality of the situation is that if we crash out, then it's the worst case scenario for Ireland. Now, so the North and South Irish border, that's still a problem, you know. So if we crashed out, then we wouldn't put any controls on that border. So it would then be the European Union that were forced to put controls on that border. So it really doesn't surprise me that they didn't want to throw Ireland under the bus. And by doing what they've done, they've effectively thrown that responsibility now back to the United Kingdom. So it's the United Kingdom that would be throwing Ireland under the bus rather than the European Union. So it was quite a clever manoeuvre on their part. But it's just typical. The UK's been outmanoeuvred all the way through this process. So it doesn't surprise me. Anyway, that's just something to think about. So I haven't heard any other commentators talking about that. So I found it interesting. So this is where I think we're going. I think we're probably going to end up in a long extension after April the 12th. I wouldn't bet any money on that. It could, as I say, it could be that one of the indicative votes does command majority support. But then I think if that happens, I think there would be the attachment of a ratification referendum to that. If we end up in a long extension period, then I think we are almost definitely looking at a soft Brexit. And I think the chances are that we will end up having another referendum to ratify whatever agreement is eventually arrived at during that long extension. But once we're in that long extension, once we've elected European Parliament, MEPs, once we've elected those MEPs, the extension period can just be continuing to be extended. And the longer this process goes on, the demographics in this country are changing. So the longer this process goes on, the less support there's going to be for Brexit. So from my perspective, brilliant. That's wonderful. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm getting ready to go to the Put It to the People march tomorrow. And I'm really looking forward to that. And I hope to see lots of you there. And also, I think a lot of you have seen the Revoke Article 50 petition online, which at the time of doing this video, it was at about 3.75 million people that had signed that petition, which is an incredible amount of people. And I see that the Brexit proponents are already panicking about this, so they're trying to dismiss. They're saying, "Oh, it's Russian bots," or it's like, it's easy for. Julie Hartley-Brewer said, "Oh, you can sign it as many times as you want as long as you put a different name in." All of these things are lies. They've all been disproven. These are actual individual people. I mean, I'm sure there is some dodgy data in there, but the vast majority of these people that are signing this are real individuals, real people, millions and millions of them. And this is amazing. I think this one thing shows a tangible move in the way people are thinking in this country. And I think it also highlights the level of anger out there within the people that want to remain, and how they are being ignored and how they've been ignored throughout this entire process. So if you haven't signed it, sign it, because this is going to be huge. I predict tomorrow it's going to probably be over 4 million. In fact, probably later tonight it's probably going to be over 4 million. And an incredible surge. And so yeah, a lot to be hopeful about. And yeah, take care.